Welcome to ASKMAT video 1. So ASKMAT is going to be a different type of tutorial, so these aren't going to be scripted, and these are going to be much more about if you have questions or problems with Illustrator, you can just comment below and I'll see if I can make a video. So for our first video, we've had Dread.tv ask a tutorial on working with pre-designed AI files like those I get from Adobe stock, color change, sizing, exporting, the basics. I'm good with Photoshop, just never took the time to learn Illustrator. And I think that's true for a lot of people, is people get really good at one program, and this is something I definitely see with a lot of the new starters I get in the studio, is they get really good at one program and they get super comfortable, and then they don't want to move on to the other one because you just get very comfortable and you just don't want to. The other one seems too scary, or for whatever reason you just don't have the time. So I'm going to go over a couple things. So with the videos from the course, a lot of these things I will be going over in the course, but I wanted to make something that Dread.tv could use today, instead of having to wait the next couple of weeks for the course material to come out. So I'm going to go over some vector basics, the color changes that he's asked for, sizing, exporting, and there's two other things I wanted to show you, which was live trace and smart objects, and I think you're really going to like those. So this is an image that I've downloaded off Adobe stock. So as you can see, when you first start, usually these things are grouped. So this is, so this whole thing is one big selection. You just right click and group if it's not grouped. If you want to ungroup it, you just right click and group, and the whole thing now is separate. So this is actually a circle there with a hole, and then you've got all these separate bits, and I think this here is grouped as well, so we can work with this individually or select what we want. So if we go up to the black arrow here, let's get our color panels up. So I've got color up on the side here, but if you don't have color, you just go up to Windows, Color. So any window that you're looking for is going to be here somewhere. So we're just going to choose Windows, and we're going to choose swatches as well. So bring those two over there. We'll get rid of that one for a minute. Okay, so if we choose this background, you can see the orange is here. You've got this is a CMYK breakdown, but if you're doing stuff for the web, you might want to use RGB. So you just click on this bit here, you can change that to RGB, or web safe RGB. So let's say we want to change this to more of a light blue color. So you just double click. Well, either you can change it and physically move these like so, or you just double click. A lot like Photoshop really, because I know you said in your comment that you were relatively comfortable with Photoshop, so a lot of this will look quite similar to you. There's just a few changes. So say you want to change that to a light blue, so let's change to a light blue. Let's say you like that orange, but you're not sure, but you want to save it for later. If I undo that for a minute, and let's say we like this orange, so a nice bright orange, what you can do is save it as a swatch down here, and this is one of the things that's quite nice about Illustrator, is you can save swatches. So if you've got an orange, you've got your swatches window, which is in Windows, swatches down there. Just click on the new swatch, and you can go orange swatch, and this will save this for you now. So you can either save it as a process color or a spot color. This is something I will go over in a video on its own, but this you can just keep it as a process color for now, because all we want to do is save it in our swatches folder. So we can do that, and if we decide, so there you go. So you can see this is actually changed into an orange swatch now. So this has saved the very specific RGB breakdown, and if you, so when we double click here, you can actually see what the CMYK version of that would be as well. If you want to make sure that your file itself is RGB, you just go to the document color mode, so you can see there. Occasionally, if you've got CMYK as your document color mode and you're trying to force RGB colors in, it doesn't always work, so it's always worth checking there. Let's say you've got this circle in the background here. Actually, we will, as this is all grouped here, let's say we don't want to come out of this group. We just want to select this white, but we don't want to ungroup everything because we've spent time grouping everything. We can use this white arrow to directly select within the group. So that selects the whole group. The white arrow selects just the black there. So it's all within the group. So we like this black, we want to keep this grey, but we want more of a black stroke around it. What we do is, so this is the fill colour here, and this is a stroke colour. So you click there, you can double click here, we'll make this much darker around the rim. So we've got a nice black rim there. So if we select that, if we want to make that larger or smaller, you can go Windows, Stroke here. If you go Show Options, it shows you all your extra options, so you can make that bigger or smaller. You can even change them to dash line if you want. You can actually change the dashes size. But for now, we're just going to do that. So it sort of matches in with these other buttons. And maybe we don't want it that dark, so we make it a little bit lighter, so we just double click. Or maybe we actually want it to be this orange colour, so all we have to do is go into our swatches, click orange swatch, and we can just, and it goes straight into orange. Or if you want this orange here and if you want this orange here and this grey to swap around, all you have to do is swap fill and stroke. So you can actually swap those around. Let's move this out of the way. So there we go. If we go back a few steps, so color swatches. Obviously there's a lot that we can show you, but I just want to keep these quite short and sort of small actionable things that you can do right now. If you go into your layers, so the layers are here, but again, Windows, Layers. So we can see that if you were in Photoshop, you'd have all these adjustment layers and things here, sort of multiply and darken and things like that. And from some of the stuff that you've done on your Instagram page, I can see that you're relatively familiar with that kind of stuff. It's not in with your layers, it's actually in your transparency. So again, Windows, transparency, oh, it's a button here, it's all here. So you've got all your sort of multiply and darken, and if you wanted to add any layers, effects to it, or if you even wanted to reduce the opacity, you can do that in your transparency. So with your orange swatch, you've actually got, so if we change the percentage here, this is a tint and this is opacity. So what the tint will do is you can't see things through it. So if I do, hopefully this works now. So let's just say I do a blue line through here, and I'll send that to the back. So you can see, even though it's at 46%, you can't see the blue through here. That's because it's a tint, so it's still a solid colour, but this colour is just, what this is doing is just adding more white in as you go along. So that's red, so orange, sorry. So it's got 100% orange, 0% orange swatch, which is just white. So you can see, so that actually means 50% orange in white.
so you can't see it. But if you change the opacity over here, we change that to 50%, now you can see that through, because that's an opacity and this is a tint, and that's the main difference really between those. One of the things I did see, and I hope you don't mind, I've taken a bit of a liberty here, but I saw these on your Instagram and I thought they were really cool. I'd seen that you'd worked with an artist to get this sketch done up, and you've got these really nice illustrations. What I thought you might want to learn is live trace, and I think live trace has come a long way. So if we go window, properties, right. So properties is quite good because this is actually a contextual board. So it changes. So if we want to change sort of canvas size, so this is the canvas size button, it actually tells you what the canvas size is here. So you can actually decide how big you want it, and if you change it to direct selection tool, it gives you all these different things. But if we click on your image, it actually tells you how big the image is. Obviously it doesn't have a fill because it's a JPEG image, but you've got this thing here called image trace. So if we click on that and we go black and white logo, so if we'll do three options, I think. So if we move this one across, move that one in. So if we go, so we've selected, using our black arrow, we've selected this image, we go image trace, we go black and white logo, and this will take a minute, but that's actually created a vectored image of your image. So so this is all grouped together. So you just click on the expand button, and if we select the white, using, here we go. So with the black arrow, right click, ungroup, select the white, and then we want to delete all the white from in here. So we go select, same, fill color, then we just delete that. This is now a vectored image of your icon. So you select, make sure, because you can see not all the, when you select there, not all the black has been chosen there. So you can select that, and then Control or Command G to group it. And one of the really nice things about vectored images is if we move this up here, if we do a copy up here, we'll just do a new artboard up here, is that vectoring an image, it doesn't actually change, it keeps its resolution. So even though we've got, if you had a JPEG, your resolution really changes a lot depending on the size. This doesn't actually change at all, so it keeps its size, which is really nice, which is something that I think vectors really have an advantage over other things. The live trace also works on different scales. So you've got just a black and a white there, so it's quite binary colours. You've got this one, so if you image trace here and you go shades of grey, so this one may take a minute. These things obviously depend on how good your PC is as well. So even though that didn't look like it changed very much, you can see that's actually a vectored image now. So you could really, so you've still kept a lot of this shading, and it's really nice. And you could actually, if you wanted to, because I know if you're a Twitch guy, if you wanted to make merch or anything like that, this is actually a really good way of vectorizing an image, and then this is all made out of shades of grey then. And it even goes so far as to image trace, and let's call it a high fidelity photo up here. So you've got all sorts of options here. So you've got a black and white logo, shades grey, 16 colours, and 6 and 3, which kind of speak for themselves, really. It breaks it down into 3, 6 or 16 colours. This high fidelity photo, this is probably really going to upset my PC. So if we click on high fidelity photo, it should vectorize that whole image for you. Give this a minute. There you go, so that didn't look like it changed very much, but now this, so if we look at this one, so you can see how many dots are selected there, so you can see all the blue outlines. If we click on this and expand, oh, so many dots. So this is you've basically created a Dreth.tv painting by numbers now. So this image is, you could turn, because this is vectored now, you could turn this into, you know, a business card, or put it on the side of a building and it won't lose resolution because it's vectored. I think the live trace is really handy, especially for this kind of stuff, and especially if you wanted to create anything, you know, if it's going over multiple devices or multiple programs or anything like that. This is also quite good. The last thing I wanted to show you before we export something is smart objects. This is really cool because as someone who uses Photoshop like you do, this will be really useful, I think. So we'll just stick with this one for now. If we Command or Control C in here, copy that. If we paste in here, so Command or Control C, and it'll give us a couple of options here. What we want to choose is Smart Object, and you don't necessarily have to add it to your library. Right, so that's brought it in. If for any reason it's way smaller than it should be, you can see up here it's given it to me at 50% size because it fits correctly on the canvas. But you can just decide what size you want that to be, and you click the little tick, or if you're unhappy with it, cancel the transformation. So let's confirm that. So what you've got here is you haven't got something that's directly editable in Photoshop. You can still, if you double click on your layer, you can still get up all these different layer styles here. But if you double click, so let's say you like this, but you want to, you're not quite sure about it, or you want to tidy up some of these lines maybe, or add in a few extra bits, all you have to do is double click on here. There we go. And it actually opens it back up in Illustrator. So this is your vector smart object now in a layer. So you could select all of this. Say you want to make it blue. Here we go. So I've chosen blue there, and it's come up grey. That's because in my colour, so window colour, is I had the wrong selection. So it's grayscale there. So choose RGB, changes into that nice blue. Right, if we save that, that, or let's save it and reflect it, let's say, and then we save it, go in here, and it's updated in here. So this could be a really good way for you to introduce yourself to Illustrator, but you can also work in Photoshop at the same time. So these are so it's a nice way of working with both programs and not having to bring in JPEGs into Illustrator, because it just makes the files enormous and really difficult to work with and really unruly. So Photoshop will really will really come in handy there. So it's a way of working across the two programs. So you could export directly from here if you wanted. So you could save this as a so you could save as so if you wanted to, let's say you decided you wanted to make this into your icon that you put in the corner of your screen or something like that, you could save as, and in Photoshop you have, let's just pop on my desktop, you've got a lot of options here. So you could do TIFF for instance, and then you could save the transparency, so then you wouldn't have a white square behind this. But in Illustrator, if you just wanted to export straight from Illustrator, when you go to save as, you've not got as many options here. So you've got SVG, which is good for any I think it's for any kind of web, I think. PDF, which is, everyone has used a PDF at one point. Illustrator is also the file that you're usually working in Illustrator. So what you have to do is you have to go to File, Export. I don't export that much for screens because I work mainly in print, so I'm not going to pretend like I know everything here. But I would say what you can do is go to TV, face, avatar, whatever you want to call it. If you save it as PNG, you click on Use Artboard, so this will save just up to the artboard. Use Artboard, Export, and I'll actually save that with a clear background. So you can see, so the background color transparent, or you can just save it with a white background as well. So it really depends on what kind of exporting you're looking to do. You can save it as a high resolution. So yeah, like I said, it really does depend on what kind of exporting you're looking to do, and I will be going over a lot of this in future videos as well. But I just wanted to give you a quick video just to say thanks for getting back to me, and I hope this was useful to you. If you've got any questions, or if anyone out there has any other questions they'd like to ask, or anything that they'd like a video done on that's not been done yet, let me know.